Today's episode is brought to you by Audible. For you, the listeners of Awesome Sunday Show, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. And all you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/awesomesundayshow. It's audibletrial.com/awesomesundayshow. Sign up for your free 30-day trial. Check out over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or any of the other 500 devices that they support. Might I recommend The Hobbit, unabridged version by J.R.R. Tolkien. Forget the movies. Listen to the audiobook. They have 180,000 to choose from. Promise you won't be disappointed. All you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/awesomesundayshow for a free audiobook download with a 30-day free trial. Thank you, Audible, for sponsoring this episode.
And today's show is also brought to you by BarkBox.com. You can get one free extra month of BarkBox at www.getbarkbox.com/awesome. What is BarkBox? Well, I'm glad you asked. Every month, BarkBox paws pick the best all-natural treats and innovative toys to match a dog's unique needs, including allergies and heavy chewer preferences. All edibles are made in the USA and Canada, and 100% of the products are tested on animals. BarkBox is a great way to try different treats from local businesses, and each monthly box is also themed: New York City, Country Fair, etc., etc. And if the dog doesn't like something in the box, they'll actually send you something that the dog will love for free, because they're all about the dog's happiness, and there's free shipping on any BarkBox within the continental U.S. And if the dog falls in love with something from the box, you can easily find it again on barkshop.com or just by texting them or go on the app. So remember, if you want to nab that free extra month of BarkBox, go over to www.getbarkbox.com/awesome.
You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
Oh my god, you guys.
Hey everybody, it's time for the Awesome Sunday Show!
Everybody, welcome back to Awesome Sunday Show. Connor here.
And Pat as well.
Pat, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Again, another short break between episodes, but we're fucking busy, all right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, lay off our fucking sphincters, all right? Seriously.
Actually, can you rub mine a little softer? That's all I need. But no, sorry. Like, we're both working a shit ton, so it's not lining up right. I'm just going to blame it all on Damien because he's a bad person.
Damien sucks.
He's a bad friend. He's skipping Connor's house to go to Pittsburgh with Evan so they can elope or something. But anyway, that's not why we're here today.
Yeah.
Although we're always down to shit on Damien.
Even though Damien, low-key, is actually one of our best friends.
Damien is one of the best people I know.
I know.
He's a piece of shit.
He's
not really.
I do feel like we have to say that just in case if this is anybody's ever first episode.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, that kid Damien must really suck. Like,
And he does, but we love him. So don't forget that we do love him. But we are here today.
do we?
We got to pretend on. We are here today to talk about a fucking awesome action movie.
Unreal.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So we're like the title says, we're talking about John Wick 3 today, Chapter 3, Parabellum. And holy fucking
Balls.
shit, man!
Yeah.
Like,
Balls.
but holy fucking balls, dude!
Yeah.
Like, there's no other way to go, like, to get around this. This movie was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It was just insane.
Man, I don't know. Like, it was okay. So it's definitely, like, objectively just as good as the other John Wick movies, no doubt about it. If you liked John Wick 1 and 2, then you're gonna like or love this one. Like, no doubt about it.
I'd be astounded if you didn't like this one.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, and it really amps it up to the next level.
Oh yeah. The action in this is crazy.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it happens to have probably one of the best. It definitely has the best fight scene in all the John Wick movies.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
And one of the best fight scenes I've seen in an action movie in a long,
Very long
time.
It's like it was kind of like the first time I watched the original Old Boy, and I was
Yeah.
like, God damn, that's a good action scene.
Or
And
the
like,
raid.
Oh yeah, the raid. That was another great one. Like, well, there's many great ones in that one,
Yeah.
but specifically the final fight scene in that one was specifically very good. And even like going back to Keanu Reeves, like when Neo fights Agent Smith, that was another fantastic fight scene. I mean, there's too many to name like that you can really go. We can have a whole podcast about fight scenes.
Yeah.
We should actually. But yeah, god damn it, that knife scene in the beginning was fucking unreal.
Dude, it was so fucking great. So, I mean, spoilers, obviously. But the fight choreography, the shootout choreography in this were just next level.
Yeah.
Just absolutely insane. Shout out to the choreographer. I'm going to have to look up who it was, but Jesus Christ, was this like just absolutely insane. It was impeccably done, and the momentum stayed throughout the whole thing. They didn't miss a beat for any of the fights. And it starts with a kill I've never seen before. So it snaps somebody's neck with a book in a brutal way, beat the shit out of him.
Well, not only does he snap his neck, though, like he breaks his jaw in like 2 or 3 places and hits him in the balls.
He straight up breaks his face.
Yeah.
Like, there's no if, and, or buts about it. And that was Boban Marjanovic, for anybody who watches the NBA, from 76ers. And it starts off with that, and then we got the knife scene, and then just throughout the whole entire thing, it's just incredible action.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the best action trilogies. I mean, now we're getting a 4th one in 2021. This is one of the best action franchises in quite some time, in my opinion. Yeah.
It's crazy how well it's been going. And what's cool about the John Wick franchise is that it's picked up so much steam that people really have their favorites and no one's really wrong. And that's really hard to say, like with a trilogy and/or series of movies.
Right.
You get it with the original Star Wars trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Friday the 13th series, like where they're just kind of like, varying of quality of I'm sure, but like as far as when it comes to a series that's consistent and has people that like can't decide which one's their favorite and or argue their favorite ones. That's really hard to accomplish.
Yeah, I know, especially for an action movie. And like, in the John Wick 1, it's not a very deep story, but what they did with it was great, and then it was carried by Keanu Reeves and then the awesome action. But it's not the deepest story in the world.
But I don't think the story.
But no, I'm not saying that to knock the movie. I'm just saying.
I agree with you. The story it's
like
not a particularly like involved story at all. It's very simple. It's super one note. Like, but what I think what lacks in story, it makes up for in the world that it's built. Because like when I watch the John Wick movies, like I'm following the story's not hard to follow, so the story isn't what I'm super invested in. Because I don't need because like there's nothing really super intricate about it. The plot is literally explained to you as soon like it's almost kind of like funny like how simple the plot is actually when you really think about it. But yeah, like what's so interesting is the characters that surround the story and the world that it's built. And now like as what they really have done that's super successful, I think within this franchise is. Just like now they have this world of assassins that just seems to be endless. And like they all
seems like everybody is, and there's all these different factions and different leaders and stuff.
Different loyalties, and it's like, oh shit, like okay, so like now like we have a common goal as far as when it comes to like what the story is about. It's just it's John Wick just fucking killing people. So now like what can we surround him with, and what environments can make the journey interesting. And I think like that focus has really elevated these movies to like a higher standard too.
Yeah, seriously. And then it really is. I mean, I think that they might be developing a TV series based around the inner workings of this and everything. Like the Continental, the High Table and stuff, and the currency and the the laws and the mythology behind it are all very interesting in of itself, and it still stays interesting up in this movie where he has more forms of currency, and then he has the bonds and the tickets, and it's all through gold or other symbolic things instead of cash means. And the world building in this, while just kind of overlaid there, is just as interesting. I would love to see a background on how it all got started, but in this, you don't need it. It doesn't need to be interesting. It just is interesting and a nice it's a nice seasoning on top of an entertaining movie.
Yes.
It's a salt and pepper on a steak, which is all you need.
It's all
on
you
a good
need
steak.
if you cook the steak right.
And so I think that elevates it just on another level without doing anything crazy. But this series just keeps amping it up, and it executed in this like a motherfucker.
Yep.
It was so good, and obviously Keanu was great, which is unsurprising. And then Ian McShane is great, but I really, really liked what was trying to figure out that actor's name who was the Asian guy, the guy from Mark Dacascos. His name's Zero.
What's what else was he in that I would know, because I feel like I've seen his face.
I mean,
before.
he's the host of Iron Chef America.
That's definitely probably where I saw him from, actually.
He was in The Crow. He's in Mortal Kombat as Kung Lao. In Mortal Kombat Legacy.
Oh yeah. Oh, he was. Yeah.
He's on,
Shit.
Y50. He's been in a lot.
Yeah. Also, too, the
Cradle to the Grave.
that movie sucks. Is that the one with DMX?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. That movie sucks. Fucking what's his face? I feel like I recognize the one of his students from the Raid.
Probably. He did look familiar. He probably was in the Raid.
And from Star Wars Episode 7. I'm gonna look that up real fast too. But I do have to mention as well, like we got to mention Halle Berry.
Yeah. Oh, that guy's name is Yayan Ruhian.
And he was in the Raid?
He was in the Raid 1 and 2. He was in The Force Awakens, amongst other things.
Oh,
but yeah,
right.
But yeah, Halle Berry was in this for a brief time. I thought she was going to be in it more, given like how much she was involved in the promotion material, but that's just because she's a recognizable face. But she was good in this. I think it's the first good movie I've seen her in quite a while.
Yeah, quite a while. She was very good. I'm actually kind of glad she was only in it for as long as she was, because the movie is John Wick. It's not
John
about
her.
Wick. And listen, if they ever want to do a spin-off movie, then fuck yeah, I'm down for it, because she was great.
And she's clearly got a rich backstory into this.
Yes, and
especially when it comes to her daughter.
And I'm not saying John Wick can't be in the spin-off, but like she was interesting enough to the point where I feel like there could have been a movie about her.
Yes.
And they didn't, and she did not overstay her welcome in the film, because it's John Wick, Parabellum.
Right.
It's about him. And so I'm glad they didn't lose focus and like keep her throughout the film, because the amount of screen time that John Wick definitely needed, and especially just as far as when it comes to how many people he was fighting. And I guess they really needed to come across that he's basically fucking Superman.
Yeah.
Because
just even thinking about the ending, which we'll get to.
Yes.
Because
he gets kicked through so much fucking shit.
Dude, when they're up in the administrative lounge and they just keep pushing him through the displays, that was just so that they can break shit.
Yeah.
Like that's all it was. But it was still sick.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It was trying to break him down. It just showed like, dude's fucking basically invincible.
He pretty much and it's not like it comes out of nowhere either, because like it was a little jarring when I was watching it first, but then it kind of makes sense, because the entire fucking franchise, like the first two movies was literally him building up as like the boogeyman. Like
that's his nickname is Baba Yaga.
And he is a force of sheer will, and he can't be stopped. And I guess like that makes sense. Like like if you are like. And it's a fucking movie too, so like get over it if you're like, oh, like none of that stuff can happen. But that's the point, is he's just a force of sheer will, and like you can't stop him.
Yeah, he's basically unbeatable. And that's why he's the most feared assassin, and he also is the most respected. Like, all his enemies throughout all 3 movies have shown, like, have been, even the ones who've gone against him, they're terrified of him, but at the same time, they respect the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And in this, Zero and then his, like, 2 head assassins are like, it's an honor to meet you. It's an honor to fight with you. And, like, they showed him a lot of respect during their fights.
Yeah.
And even post their fights.
And John Wick shows a little respect back, too,
Yeah,
to some
of
of
course.
his students.
Yeah, of course. And, if even the man above the high table, you can tell that he still fears John Wick, even though he's above all the rest of the assassins.
Yeah.
Well,
he understands, I think, what John Wick is.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why, but he's clearly feared enough that the overarching hierarchy of this assassin world that is intercontinental, like literally across the globe, respects and fears him so much that they see him as a singular focus to take him down because they know how dangerous he is.
Another thing that I actually really enjoyed about the movie too was like the expansion of John Wick and who he is as a person. Especially, that was Russian, right? When he goes back home.
Yes. Yeah, he's talking to Angelica Houston.
Well, yeah. The ballet should just gave it away, but it's like I like the person that runs the estate there. That actress is also very
Angelica
familiar.
Houston.
Yeah. She was good. She wasn't in the movie very much, but I mean the scene with the hand stabbing.
Yeah.
And then afterwards she's like, "Oh, like
Yeah.
fuck." Yeah.
Yeah. There's a
Her
lot
reaction to that was like most people's reaction during this whole movie.
Seriously. Yeah, I think I like how each of these heads of these different areas, well, and it shows that like the Continental is part and works under the high table. Then Angelica Houston leads another, like, I want to say faction of assassins and underworld things, and it shows that there's a mutual respect, but even she's afraid of the high table, even though she technically doesn't work for them. She's her own thing. She still, she ends up pleading loyalty to them in order to save her life, but it just shows that there's a bigger, it's more complex to this than just everybody working under the high table, and that's, she says, like, I can't help you. The high table, we have our agreements here and there. And the same thing with Lawrence Fishburne, as the Bowery King. They have their agreements and their understandings, but even then, they still fear who they need to fear and know their place in this world, no matter what sort of autonomy they think they have.
Yeah, and like that. First off, the elder, too. So now we understand that the factions are somewhat linked. Because did they ever say that in John Wick 2 that like the Continental and Lawrence Fishburne's haven of pigeons? What was that? What was that place called again?
The Bowery.
The Bowery. Like that there is a hierarchy above them. That connects them somewhat in some way.
Yeah.
But that the elder, first off, he's not that much older than Keanu Reeves either. That guy that he was talking to. That was, but like, which was kind of jarring again. But I think that's more or less the.
Well, the elder's
point.
just the title. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not an age thing. It's just a title that you ascend to. Like going up the ranks.
Yeah. Like that. That's kind of what I realized.
The name is a misnomer.
Yeah. Like I expected some old fucking dude, and but again, that's kind of cool because then it teaches you that it's not a very young organization, which would make sense because, and they also the guy from Game of Thrones who they run into before.
Oh yeah, the guy who plays Bronn.
Yeah. He even says like this was the first coin, and he points out the other thing that they make the agreement with, that they put their blood print on.
Yeah.
He's like, these are the first ones of
thing.
each. These are hard to track down. So then you see the elder, who's not much older, maybe could be even younger than Keanu Reeves as the actor wise. That like how many elders have there been? How long has this faction been going around? What has it been around since since those guns that John Wick was using in the movie?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Keanu Reeves is almost 10 years older than him.
Yeah.
But Keanu Reeves doesn't age, so that's why it looks different.
Yeah, he'll be 60 and look 45.
Yeah. Yeah, so there really is a big, it could, for all we know, this could be like, the Assassin's Order has gone back to the beginning of time. It's very possible.
Mm-hmm.
But in this, they're a modern thing. And it seems like, while they're underground, they clearly have a big, they must be known enough to where that all these dead bodies that keep getting dropped everywhere in large quantities in the streets of New York with all these shootouts and knife fights and stuff.
Yeah.
They clearly have some sort of influence where this shit can get swept under the rug.
Right.
In a way.
It's never like you never see John Wick like go into a hotel room like shootout in New York City,
Yeah.
It's always kind of just like, what the fuck?
You don't see any police officers doing anything.
Which, like, again, like, how old is this organization to the fact that, like, is it so seeped in to where, like, if you're in, like, you kind of just have a license to kill?
Yeah. Maybe if they're the Illuminati, they, shape the world in more ways than just, being hired to kill people.
Yeah.
But there's clearly, they clearly have some serious power for New York City, with one of the largest police presence in the world, to not have a single police officer appear in this whole series while massive shootouts are going down.
And it's not implausible in this world because Winston even says, again, another Game of Thrones actor, like he even says, he's like, do you really think I'm afraid? Like, we have New York City when he stands up to what's her face,
to the Educator.
Yeah, the Educator, another great character actually. Which again, like who does he have under his belt where he's like, we have New York City.
Yeah, that means that there's. I mean, you can see. You notice it in John Wick too, when it really gets expanded in the reach of this, and then right at the end of John Wick 2, once the excommunicado gets sent out, the hundreds of cell phones on screen start pinging at that moment. And then in this, once it goes through, and even before, while he's just walking around, the amount of people who are paying attention to him and the reach this has, like the homeless dudes and everything, and everyone he was in like Chinatown, and everywhere he went, there was a large number of people recognizing him. So there's clearly a shit ton of assassins just in New York City alone. Not to mention anywhere else he goes. So it's pretty insane that they must have a lot of pull in New York, and just a lot of people that are loyal to Ian McShane's character, which is really interesting. And then, of course, to Lawrence Fishburne's character, the Bowery King. He and I really like when he's talking about having the pigeons. He goes, it's the internet without the IP addresses, none of this, none of that. And it's funny because he looks like just a homeless dude that's obsessed with pigeons, like the Pigeon Man from fucking Hey Arnold.
Yeah.
But he also clearly is like Varys in Game of Thrones, where he has his little birds to keep tabs on everything, and that's how he's so informed about everything that's going on.
Yeah. And he is right though. Like it's almost untraceable. Like I know.
Like, would you ever actually pay attention to a pigeon unless it was trying to come at you?
Right. Like
not.
I don't look twice at pigeons. So it is kind of cool. It's definitely ingenious almost, and I'm so glad Lawrence Fishburne's in this franchise now. It's cool that within the Matrix, you get the same actors, and also now that they're both in better trilogies that they were most widely known
trilogies
for.
That got better as they went on instead
worse.
of destroying the trilogy.
Yeah. So I'm glad now they're kind of more known for this franchise.
Yeah, this is going to be their most popular franchise. I mean, obviously they've both been in a shit ton of movies outside of that.
Yeah, I don't think Lawrence Fishburne's like throwing a punch anytime soon though, like he did in The Matrix.
No, of course not. But like there's just and one thing that's really interesting is that like administration building where all these transactions are going on, and they're submitting all the forms for like updates on the assassinations, and then who's doing what, who's where. Like they had that running board of like a top list of contracts that are set out against hitmen.
Yeah.
And where they do they deconsecrate the Continental. Like that building in of itself and the inner workings of that is crazy, and it's all in a paper trail. And then they have like an MS DOS, level computer going on.
Yeah.
Like, yet it's such a technologically advanced thing. It's crazy.
I guess it's like one. I think it's like for aesthetics of the movie too, where it's like, oh, that's interesting, but also, and it's probably to the fact that they probably have a system that's so well kept and so well organized. It's like, well, why would you change it?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's clearly been working for however long it is, and like they clearly have the right kind of system. It's just it looks
antiquated,
but if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Why change it? And they clearly don't need to update it in a certain way because they just hit return, enter, and then that message gets sent out to every assassin that's registered, and they all have the same phones too. Is another thing.
Yeah.
Which clearly makes it easier, but in this, the consequences of John's actions. In 2, we get the actual consequences of this happening. He killed in consecrated ground. That is one of the 2 biggest rules of this whole society: is you don't kill on consecrated grounds, and you have to honor the blood oath thing that they do. Like in the second one, the reason why Santiano or whatever the hell that dude's name is takes out the marker. That's what it's called. The blood oath. So you don't kill on consecrated ground, and you don't deny a blood oath. And that's why Anjelica Houston's character and why Halle Berry's characters both helped him in this, because they couldn't turn it down. It's one of the 2 biggest rules. Even though Halle Berry she was the head of Morocco Continental. She clearly went on to some ground when she killed Braun and all his men.
Well, she didn't kill him. She just
okay.
his nuts popped and fucking shot him, and then she shot him in the leg.
Yeah. And one of those things that was very interesting, like she was all about her dogs, which is nice. When John says she shot my dog, and he goes, I understand, but going on when this all started for John Wick because they killed his dog in the first one. But those dogs were vicious and well trained, and she used them strategically, and she clearly trained them all enough. Like at the one part where I don't know what language she was speaking the command in, but jumped off her back and then jumped up like 5 or 6 feet and grabbed that dude by the nuts.
Yeah.
And ripped him down. And her dogs clearly love going for the nuts.
Imagine being ripped down from a roof by the nuts.
No, by a vicious German shepherd
with its gnawing teeth.
Yeah. There was a lot of nut shots in this. Just
so
a lot of
much.
destructive to the nuts. I mean, even in the
Balls
knife
bleed in this movie.
Even in the knife fight in the beginning, John Wick was stabbing dudes through the nuts and throwing knives in the dude's balls.
He doesn't give a fuck. He really doesn't. He kicks dudes in the balls.
Well, listen, when you're fighting for your life, you pull out any trick you can.
Yeah,
I get
and
it.
I guess that's what he does too, because he does catch his opponents off guard. He'll fucking fight dirty.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't blame him. I've never been in a fight before, but if I'm presented in a fist fight against some guy I don't think I could fight, I'll kick him in the nuts and then do what I got to do. But it was very excessive, the nut shots in this movie, or just
so much,
or just the biting of the nuts in this. But I get it; it makes sense. Let's see what else we can talk about. I mean, Keanu was great in this. And I really liked, the reason he wanted to keep living was so that he can keep remembering his wife.
Yeah.
And how in order to spare his life for the elder, he needed a sacrifice, and he sacrificed his wedding ring, which was the last physical thing he had of his wife from their marriage. That wasn't a picture. Wedding rings obviously are symbolic of the bond, and he had kept that on even though she'd
obviously
been...
the fucking dog's gone.
The dog's gone. She's been dead for however long. So that was the last possession that he had to fulfill, that completely tied him to her in terms of their bond, other than his memory of her. So he sacrificed that, and clearly he's fucking pissed off. He's gonna go back for his ring, I'm sure. But it just shows like his only goal was so that he can keep remembering his wife, no matter what, how many people he had to kill, no matter what he was going to go through. It's so that he can remember her. Just something I would expect from Keanu. I mean, in real life, I don't know. After his fiance died years and years ago, I don't know if he's he hasn't been married or anything since. I mean, he is a very private guy, so I'm sure he has some stuff going on, but I think that's something that might have taken inspiration from Keanu's actual life.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a very noble thing. And John, he's coming back. He can have 9 fingers, but he'll still fucking kill everybody.
9.5.
9.5. He's got it. Yeah, he's got a little knuckle.
He's missing that knuckle though.
Yeah, he's basically got 9 fingers.
Yeah.
But I would take John Wick with 1 finger versus any of these other assassins in here. I mean, let's be honest. As long as he can pull a trigger, he can do this. And I just liked how when they brought up like their SWAT team in those SWAT vans and came in, and just to show like, yeah, we don't just do traditional assassins. Like we got ninjas going on. We have all these different things. And then we just got the SWAT team with the most advanced ballistic, anti-ballistic
And that was
armor.
so cool when they were first shooting them, and they were kind of just like, they would be knocked out and then get back up.
Yeah, they were kind of just brushing it off. And then he just either ripped off their mask or just shot him right in the back of the neck to kill him. And I like how that, he was presented with a struggle that he had to tactically go against instead of just with physical violence. Mm-hmm. Because he clearly is able to beat the shit out of everybody he fights, but that adds, or to shoot them, and he gets that in to, as a setback. But then once him and Lance Reddick pop out those armor-piercing 12 gauges, and he's blowing dudes' heads in half, fucking baller.
Oh, dude, it was some of the what's really cool too is like a lot of the action, and I know there's a directorial relation between the two movies. Like so a lot of this action is so over the top. It reminds me of Deadpool.
Yeah,
just less comedic. Well, actually, not really, but
no, there were some funny moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, Deadpool is as much a comedy as it is. That's because the first movie, the first John Wick, was co-directed by the guy David Leitch who did Deadpool 2. Mm-hmm. And then since then, each one has been directed by his partner, Chad Stileski, who was a former stuntman.
Yeah.
So clearly he knows what he's looking for in choreography and everything, which shows because the choreography in this is unbelievable.
Right.
Just the knife fight alone in the beginning was still some of the coolest shit. And the shootouts in this are expertly done, expertly shot. Just, there's nothing, like, it's hard to find something bad about this movie.
There wasn't a negative that came to my mind, like,
No.
honestly, watching it. Like,
Yeah.
even the stuff that was jarring at first that I mentioned before, like, once I thought about it, I was like, oh, yeah, actually, no, in this world, it's so hyper-realistic
Yeah.
that there's, yeah, sure, fuck it, why not? Who gives a shit? Like,
Right.
it just comes down to it. And, John Wick 3 was fucking the tits.
Yeah, and it's a nice setup for John Wick 4 at the end. And, John is setting up a partnership with the Bowery King.
Yeah.
And, even Winston appeared to have turned on John by shooting him off of that building. He really did it to give him a head start. And I think that will pay off in the fourth one. And I think that John will probably realize that he really did him a favor. Because if Winston wanted to kill him, he would have shot him in the head. Even though literally nobody would have survived falling down the rooftop of a huge hotel and smashing everything possible, especially like basically getting bent in half over a fire escape, which I'm sure hurt. Nobody else in the world or in movies could have survived that but John Wick.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just more fuel to his fire, as if he needed any more.
I guess he could have survived in real life from that fall. No, not
No, I don't think so. That was high up, and just the amount of things his spine would have severed once he hit that fire escape. The way he hit that, that would have snapped his spine in half easily.
Yeah, there's no the amount of force.
And all he was sure it's a bulletproof suit, but he's still wearing just a suit. But he's the Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
You can't kill him.
Bulletproof suit. Maybe I guess he could have survived. I don't know.
Well, he did because he's John fucking Wick.
I know. I'm just trying to think if it could happen in real life.
Why don't we find out? We'll find a big hotel and then
Yeah.
I'll push you off.
Sounds good.
In the same exact location. We'll find out where they filmed it. So Winston set him up, and I think Ian McShane's obviously going to be in the next one because he has to be. He's so entwined in this.
Yeah.
And I like how even, and obviously Lance Reddick. And I like Lance Reddick was more involved in this one because he's just interesting himself as the concierge of this hotel and being at the inner workings. But in this, he showed his loyalty to Winston by putting his life on the line prior, while all this was going on instead of, just disavowing him and letting him suffer at his own pace.
Right.
But, I mean, he's shown he's loyal to John Wick, too, and clearly John Wick has a lot of connections in this, and I think that John will probably go after Winston again, but then he'll team up with Winston, because while Winston can secretly protect, work with John and the Bowery King to go after the High Table, while he's under the guise of being loyal to them.
How many John Wicks do you think there will be before they're like, all right, we've had enough?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the fourth one is the last one, because now they set up this, this final battle. They're going after the top of the top, because the first two movies were clearly personal, and then in this it was survival, and the next one they're going for the leaders of this worldwide organization, and I don't know where you can go from that.
Aliens.
I would see John Wick kill some aliens.
See, I would totally see that.
All right, maybe we'll go for the fifth one where he just goes and kill him and the Doom guy team up to kill aliens and demons.
Or he can team up with Hobbs and Shaw for the Fast and Furious.
Or
It's
he could
Hobbs
do
and Shaw too.
He could do that. I mean, the co-director from the first one is directing that.
Can we just, before we end this, we have to talk about Hobbs and Shaw in that trailer. How ridiculous was that?
Oh my god, it looks so fucking ridiculous.
Okay, but it definitely looks bad, but in a way that's super enjoyable. I won't say anymore.
Maybe.
Just watch the trailer.
Maybe. We'll see. It's not going to be better than John Wick.
No,
We
it
know
won't
that.
be, but whatever.
Yeah. All right, so that's going to wrap it up. I mean, I don't really know what else to say besides sucking this movie off. Which it's
Before we rate it, after this conversation, where would you rank it on your list?
in the franchise?
Yeah.
Uh,
No, on your list of fucking people to kill. Yay, the
oh,
franchise.
well, then after you. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely better than the first one. Right now, I'm going to have it tied with the second one.
Okay.
And then upon another rewatch, I'll be able to determine better. But this was...
I still
Absolutely.
think I like two more.
It's fair. I won't fault you for that. I mean,
Yeah.
I completely get why. There's no wrong answer to this.
And only really purely for the reason is I probably would have liked Parabellum more if that knife scene was at the end.
Yeah.
It was-
Because that right at the beginning, and that not the rest of the action throughout the movie past that was bad by any means. It was still fucking awesome.
nothing, not even
It's
close
just-
to that.
That was the coolest fucking thing.
Yeah, it was way too well. Yeah, that fight scene and because it was such close, narrow hallways is beautiful for fight
Yeah.
scenes. Because fight scenes used to be very open and like you got to move everywhere, but now the past few years, especially I would even say since the Oldboy remake and Daredevil season 1, we've been seeing a lot more close quarters hallway scenes, which I'm down for. Just gives more variety.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would say John Wick 2 because I think the ending, as far as when again, you're left with the last impression when you leave the theater, and the ending to John Wick 2, I still think was better than the ending as far as when it comes to how engaging it was. than this one. In this one, it was fucking cool. It definitely ups the ante as far as when it comes to stakes and like and kills and like how they killed. But just the way the ending was shot in John Wick 2. First off, it's complete homage to Enter the Dragon, or it was stolen from, depending how you want to put it. But it was still amazing. So yeah, clearly, just for that final scene, I think John Wick 2 is still my favorite.
Fair. All right, so what would you rate it?
I'd give it a solid 9 out of 10.
I'm gonna go. Honestly, man, I'm gonna get 9.5. I mean, there's really nothing bad about it. I think that you only take half a star away just because it's, not the deepest story, but it doesn't need it.
Yeah,
but this was a 10 out of 10 thrill ride for sure.
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 roller coaster. I'll definitely say that. As an overall package, I can't really think of any flaws. It's more or less a 9 out of 10 just out of my pure enjoyment from it. Could it had a little more in the story wise? Yeah, I didn't feel like I was in the theater for very long, but that's not more of a criticism. I guess it's more of just kind of like.
I think it was the pace. It was just so action packed.
Yeah,
that was 131 minutes.
Yeah,
it was over 2 hours.
It definitely was over. Yeah, I actually like.
But it did feel short. But I don't. That's not a fault to it.
That's not a fault to it. I would have given it a 9.5 or a 10 if it was longer. Again, I don't want to take this as a criticism. It's not why I dislike the movie because it's not what their focus is, and I was just praising the opposite. So, but like it's more or less just a reason why I'm giving it. It's not a 10 out of 10, but. I don't care. Like it's a fucking 9. Like take it or leave it. Like not saying you, but I'm sure there's someone out there like fuck you. Whatever. It's the internet.
Yeah. No, fuck the internet. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up. Check out all our previous episodes. Check out the merch that we got on awesomesundayshow.com. Just click the merch tab up. We're gonna do our best to make it a more regular release. Get back into getting our shit together and done. But, it depends on if Damien wants to let us live or not.
Well, also, it depends on if Damien wants to be on the fucking show or not, too. I'm tired of waiting for him.
I think we should banish him for life.
Excommunicado.
Excommunicado. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Take it easy.
Peace.
Hey, everybody. It's time for the Awesome Sunday Show.